Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners, macabre murders and captivating crimes from across the centuries, and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 225.
225.
And happy Halloween, Nick.
Merry Halloween.
Merry Halloween.
Merry spooky day.
It is the spookiest of the days. It is our Halloween special coming out on Halloween.
Very fancy.
That's very, very fancy.
Very fancy.
Very fancy. We're very excited.
Are we?
We're
Yes,
covered
we are.
in pumpkins.
Covered in pumpkins.
We got pumpkin-based snacks. Well, no, we got Halloween-based snacks.
Yeah, it's meant to look like a bat. I'm less convinced about the bat
It's
form
just a
of the...
twisty cheese poof.
Yeah, it's like, bat crisps. Really?
Well, you're cynical. I'm lying there going on the floor with a little bag going, yay, Halloween, yay.
And I'm... Sinead, stop eating crisps.
How are you, Nick?
I'm fine.
You're very good?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, good.
Yes.
We're sure.
I'm sure. I think so. Yes. Let's go yes.
Let's go, yes.
I got gin. I'm fine.
We have got gin. We have a lovely little glass of poison gin.
Poison gin.
Well, poison garden gin.
Gin from the gardens that is poisoned.
It is. It is the special gin that is made by Anik Poison Gardens that we purchased while we were up there taking a tour. A wonderful, wonderful location that we've shared some snippets on social media about, and we also have a special episode of our tour coming out on the main show. We've teased it on Patreon. It's gone down very well there.
Very popular.
Very well. Fascinating facts. But yes, we've tried the poison gin, and it's very nice.
Very nice.
Made from the medlar tree,
Nice.
which is cyanide until it
Which
rots.
is mainly poison.
Yes, and it goes backwards. It's like, oh, this fruit is lovely and lovely. Poison. Rots. Oh, no, it's fine now.
It's fine.
Yeah, we don't know how long they experimented to try and find that back in the,
Oh, yes, the
medieval
optimum
times.
poison, non-poison sort of crossover period.
But you're well, you're full of spooky joy.
I mean, always.
I am too. Good. Any poisonings this week? Please not children.
No, don't believe so.
No.
No.
You don't let them in.
No, indeed not. No. And now I'm in a flat, they can't get to me.
Whereas my house is absolutely covered in glowing pumpkins.
Yes, so unsurprisingly, you attract them like some sort of scary
Yes.
witch beacon.
And I always have to try and reassure them, which never goes down well because I don't have kids. And my
Yes.
house is the spookiest house
Come
on the
to
street.
the spinster's house, children.
Me holding my black cat, making Ben hide.
Yes,
Get away, you.
husband, get back.
You're ruining the aesthetic. And people are like, should we bring our children there? Yes, come in, come in. I have name brand candy.
And an extra large oven.
Climb inside, children. One day I
day.
will set that up. I won't actually hurt
That's where
kids.
all the best candy is, in the back of an oven.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they would just clean it for me when I was in there. Like, while you're in there, take this scrubbing brush. This is hell. Sorry. Well, speaking of luring children into our gingerbread houses and then making them clean them because we're pigs, I think it's time for us to thank our delicious, spooky Patreon subscribers.
Absolutely. This week we must say thank you to Victoria Avery
To Jasmine Marshall.
and to Corina Back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, you delicious, sexy, sexy Patreon subscribers. Oh, you have had fun on Patreon this week because you've had loads of content going out.
Loads of shit going on.
We did our Deadly Nightcaps. Nick told us more stories of vampires
So many vampires.
from the Far East.
Great spooky legends of vampires.
Really good ones in there. Some are terrifying and
Yes.
some are hilarious.
Some less terrifying and more, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was a wonderful adventure. We've also had some spooky stories going out. We've had some extra content that we have been sharing. And yes, it being Halloween, there's just going to be more spooky stuff coming this weekend.
Whether you want it or
because
not, really, try stopping her.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I've said, Sinead, calm down. No.
Spooky season ends when I say it does. We also have a couple of shout outs to do this week. We have one from lovely, lovely Fagin Pan to their father, Chad Fink. Chad, we know you are a lover and supporter of all spooky things, such as bats, snakes, alien vampires, the Victorian era, and possibly the spookiest of all, your child, Fagin, to whom you read the story of the green ribbon over and over again, tirelessly, as Fagin says, as I cackled and cackled every time the lady's head fell off. That was age
Brilliant.
4. I've only grown spookier since with all his love and support. He is battling a horribly spooky, but not in a fun way, cancer right now. So please, people, listeners, send him your love, send him your goodwill and positive thoughts. Everyone, wish him a very speedy recovery. We love you, Chad. We love you, Fagin. Thank you so much for sending that in. And we also have a shout out from the lovely CT to their lovely friend, Max. Max is doing night shifts at the aquarium. I hope you're listening, Max, because hopefully this is getting you through, because the aquarium isn't entertaining enough at night, surely.
Do fish go to sleep?
Do fish go to sleep?
Do they go to sleep
Well,
at
they
night?
stop moving. Do they turn off all the lovely lights?
Turn off the lovely lights.
And Max, tell us.
And all the bubbly things.
No, they need the bubbly things to breathe.
Oh, okay, I need the bubbly things.
Famously, they do. It's not one small fish
They
tank.
just turn off the water.
Drain the tank.
It's just like night time.
Night and none for you.
Back in your cages, fish.
We don't know what happens in the
Well,
aquarium
exactly.
at night.
You mock me, but you don't know.
Well, Max will tell us because he's working so hard on his degree to finish school. I swear to God, I read that as fish school. I'm so sorry, Max. I thought he's getting a degree to fish school.
No, perhaps he's
Maybe
a
he
marine
is.
biologist.
Marine biologist, hopefully. Well, maybe he's just none of this and we're ruining his career. CT says you're their best friend. You've done so much to support them over the years. You deserve the world. And hope that this little shout out gets you through your shifts, makes you smile, and tell us the secrets of the aquarium.
Yes, tell us all. I want to know.
Well, maybe just us two. I think everyone else knows how aquariums work. We have shown a gap in our knowledge
I don't
here.
know why. If it's a gap in our knowledge, then no one else can know it, surely.
Clearly not. Yeah. Well, Nick, are you ready?
Let's do something.
To drink cocktails and talk about poison.
Go. Yeah, why not?
Oh, we could drink poison and talk about cocktails. Come in.
Let's drink some poison. If you're going to do that all the rest of the episode, let's do that.
Apple?
Shall we go with the first one?
Yes, okay.
Hooray, hooray, hooray. It is my story this week, but we can't possibly have a story without a cocktail in hand. As you know, dear listeners, every week we choose a secret ingredient that is inspired by the tale that we tell, and it will flavour our cocktail of the week. My story,
Yes.
so my pick. And this week's secret ingredient is, Nick, for spooky season,
Yes.
a pharaoh.
A pharaoh.
A pharaoh.
Yes.
Yes, a king of old times.
King of old times.
Yes, that's the actual definition.
That's the official definition.
Yes,
of,
and I'm sticking to it.
Historical, accuracy. Going on
Yes, from antiquity.
there. Antiquities.
Antiquity.
From the Antique Roadshow he comes from.
He does. He's been found in someone's attic. A pharaoh.
Any particular pharaoh? Just pharaohs in general?
You'll see.
Okay.
There's a couple we could talk about. But
Well, indeed.
I shall reveal nothing until a cocktail is in my hand.
Okay.
So what have you come up with?
Well, there are a few options, and I got a few options, so we might have multiple cocktails. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Woohoo! Okay.
Maybe. We'll see
It
what
is
happens.
Halloween.
But for now, we're going to start off our cocktail adventure
Yes.
with a little Egypt.
A little Egypt.
Yes.
Very nice. Okay. Doesn't sound too spooky, but that's all right.
I think it's going to be an interesting one.
Okay, always good to go with the interesting
Yeah.
ones because then we'll have a reaction of some kind to it. I think it is high time for us to walk like an Egyptian into the poisonous cabinet kitchen and shake up a storm, so we'll see you in a minute.
We'll see you in a bit.
And we're back!
Hello.
So, Nick, Little Egypt.
Little Egypt.
It smells.
Smells.
There's quite a strong smell coming
Egypt.
from this. Of Egypt. It's not of Egypt, no. I don't know. Aniseed I'm getting instantly? I don't know. But it's very ruby red. Ready brown.
Brown.
Well, we got a brown already. But yes, very appropriate for Halloween. Red, blood red, almost, you could say. Yes, there's something happening. Oh,
There's something happening.
I think I might know what it is. Okay. But let's dive in and try it.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
What's happening?
Oh, that's odd.
Oh, no.
Well, I said it'd be interesting.
Interesting is one word to describe it. Ahem.
That's
Oh, that's coffin juice. What
that's-
is that?
That's curious.
That is all kinds of strange.
Yeah.
So it's immediately like... Has it got a spritz of absinthe?
It has,
across-
it's got
a
absinthe
spritz of
Ritz in there and
rinse or spritz?
both.
Oh, right. Okay, so it's got absinthe. You can really
Yeah.
smell it. But has that got wine in it?
No,
Vermouth?
but not far off. Yes.
So it's got white vermouth?
White vermouth.
White vermouth.
But
Okay.
a new bottle, so it's not dodgy vermouth
Good.
anymore.
Okay. I don't think that's making a difference right now. I'm going to go in for a second sip, but I'm really not sure.
Julia.
That is weird. So you got absinthe, you've got the taste of vermouth, then it kind of goes to nothing. It's just not very pleasant all round.
Yeah, no, that's a disappointment, that one. That's not so good. I'm not sure I
What
want to
else
finish
is...
that.
No, I don't want to finish that. I don't want to... You've got backups though. What happened?
Yeah,
What went on in that kitchen, Nick? Yeah. Oh, that's not good. So absinthe, the white vermouth, spirit. It's not gin.
No. It's
Vodka.
not really a spirit either.
Oh, is it not?
No.
Oh, like a liqueur? Is it like the sugar cane or something?
No.
No, well, what is it? Just tell me.
Sherry.
Sherry. No.
An amontillado sherry.
Oh, right. I just thought it was the vermouth.
And then some dry vermouth. There's a wee drop of sweet vermouth in there as well. And some bitters.
That's bad.
It's not good.
No, sherry as the predominant flavour.
Yes.
Yeah, that doesn't taste good at all. I don't like it. You've ruined Halloween, Nick. Is this the point of Halloween? You wanted a true horror story in a glass?
Exactly, yeah, horror in a glass.
This would terrify children. Oh, God. Are you still going in for another sip?
I'm trying.
No?
It's not going anywhere.
No. I'm sorry, no. Oh, that has been the scariest thing of all this Halloween.
That is a bit terrifying.
Stay away from little Egypt. Some say it's cursed. Jesus. Okay, right. Well, rinse it out. Jesus.
Yeah, have Coke.
All right. Would you want to consult the backup list?
Indeed. Consult the backup list.
It is a risk. You have to trust your palate here. Has it got fun things in it?
There's another one I've got, which I know you'll just hate.
Okay, great. Because it's made of chartreuse.
Yes.
Right, okay. But is it a good combination of chartreuse?
Well, I think so.
Okay, do this.
Dwiddly-doo, 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 dwiddly-doo.
And we're back.
Hello.
Again, because Nick couldn't bear to go through this episode without a proper cocktail. So you made two of your backups.
Two backup Halloween-y cocktails.
Okay, so one that is on the brown variety that I have been given.
Yes.
Brown and clear, looks nice. And you've got a very sort of nice, pale, scary one. Ghostly.
Ghostly.
Okay, so
spooky.
Do we try each of these or what
Yes,
do we do?
by all means. So you've got a sphinx.
The Sphinx.
Yes.
Ooh, mysterious. What does it mean?
And I have got the mummy's curse.
Surely not.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Apparently so.
Okay. Well, yours does look a bit like a mummy that's been liquefied. So enjoy that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive in. I'm
Okay.
gonna taste the Sphinx.
See what happens.
Okay.
Ooh, that's much nicer.
That's okay. That's not bad. That's drinkable.
Drinkable. Good. Try that.
All right. Swappy. Drink it.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Both.
Okay.
Perfectly pleasant.
Yes. Much better.
Much
Wait.
better.
Screw the little Egypt. Oh, that's much better. That's nice. The mummy's curse is citrusy. It's almost got a creamy quality to it. So I'm assuming that's loaded with chartreuse that I don't know about.
It has got. There's not a huge amount, but there is chartreuse in there. Yes.
Okay. I'm not bleeding from the eyes.
Yeah. But it's got there's another cocktail. It reminds me of, and I can't remember what it's called.
Right.
But because this has got gin, chartreuse, lime.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the makings of a last word, but it doesn't have maraschino.
No.
What it does have is honey syrup.
Yeah, the honey,
which really sort of
weird.
mellows out the sort of chartreuse. And we've had another cocktail which has had chartreuse and honey in, and you enjoyed it. I'm racking my brains to think what it was called.
Oh, I could not taste the chartreuse in that.
Yeah, so I like that.
Oh, the secret ingredient.
Yeah, so that's...
And the Sphinx.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit more spirit forward.
Yes, it's a very different type of drink.
Very different. So it's spirit forward. It's still got that vermouth taste to it.
Yeah.
So it's got a dry vermouth.
It has got both of vermouths.
So it's got dry vermouth and sweet vermouth.
Yes.
Okay, good.
But no sherry.
But no sherry, which is a good sign.
And no
immediately
absinthe.
better. And no absinthe. What else has it got in it?
Gin.
It's got gin.
Yes.
Okay, I can cope with
And
that.
it's equal parts of each. It's just equal
okay.
parts, three things. That's it.
It's not a world beater, I would
No,
say.
indeed.
Because I always tone down the dry vermouth
Yep.
because you just don't need that much of it. Just a hint of it is enough. Equal parts, a bit too much, but I'm happy.
Yes.
Woohoo! Oh, we've done a tour of Egypt.
Oh my god, we have so many drinks.
So we've got the Sphinx, which is very mysterious, the mummy's curse. Well, with our drinks in hand, are you ready for a spooky story on this Halloween night?
Oh, go on then.
Okay,
Enthrall me.
Come with me. So, on Halloween night,
Yes.
1922, a mystic crouches over his fireplace, burning an ancient artifact in the hope of purging the world of a terrible darkness. In a sprawling castle, people sit with their hands clasped around a table in the flickering candlelight, shivering as a voice from the other side speaks to them of a warning of those who would walk where kings slumber. Glass shatters, people fall to their deaths, screams echo through museum halls, even ships sink to the icy depths. It appears that someone has unleashed The Mummy's Curse.
Nice, excellent intro. Excellent
Thank
intro.
you very much.
Very, very dramatic. Yeah.
Everything that I said relates to a story
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
to do with the Mummy's Curse. I didn't just make shit up. The claims may have been made up, but I found them in places. I found them in books.
People spoke about them.
People spoke about them once and put them in a book, and so there we go. That
Therefore
means
it's
they're
real.
absolutely true. Yes, for this year's Halloween special, we are going to talk about the supposed curse of the Pharaohs. We are going to pick apart as best we can the famous stories surrounding this hieroglyphic hex.
Nice.
I'm very proud of that.
Very good.
Now, actually, of all of the classic Universal monsters, we've done most of them, really.
We have really, haven't we?
So vampires last week, we did. We hadn't done a lot. The Wolfman, standard
Yes,
lunatic.
there's a lot of Wolfmen.
Invisible Man, we could say Hinterkaifeck.
Yeah, we could.
Or the Spider-Man, the guy who lived in the attic.
Living in the attic, yeah.
Setting. Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. Well, we had that guy making the weird perfect woman on Patreon.
Yes. Yes, yes, I know.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Best to move on from
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But now to the mummy.
Mummy.
Supernatural being.
Possibly.
Quite possibly a mummy. I have been saying that Simpsons line all week. The restless, lumbering creature dragged from the ruins of ancient Egypt and now seeking revenge by very slowly messing stuff up.
Very, very slowly.
If the films are to be believed. Obviously, immortalised in the films, the first Mummy film, 1932, and then a series of films. And then it was revitalised
Yes.
in very sexy ways with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz.
And that's Mummy. That's a speedy Mummy. Those mummies are speedy.
Yeah, they are. They should be.
Yeah.
It was revitalised again with Tom Cruise, wasn't it?
Yes.
I've not seen
and
that.
a lady mummy.
And a lady mummy. Well, yes, relevant.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's not horrendous.
have you seen it?
I have seen it, yeah.
I wouldn't mind watching it.
Yeah, it's not bad. And it's got
Russell Crowe's in.
yes, him, as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
And I mean, that film was meant to sort of really
It was meant to
kickstart
reboot the
sort
dark
of- yeah, sort of,
Universal.
yeah, exactly, and it didn't work.
But because it bombed so badly, we're not getting all
Yeah.
the other ones,
I
which
mean-
I'm really annoyed
Yeah.
about. I know you had the Wolfman, which I actually don't mind. The one with
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins and Benicio del Toro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no, indeed. Perfectly good, perfectly good.
But that's the film bit over
Yes.
anyway, because I could have gone on there. Now, Nick, what do you know of the supposed curse of the Pharaohs?
But also, obviously, there's the Howard Carter sort of Tutankhamun whole bit.
Do you want to re-give us the pronunciation of the king?
Tutankhamun.
Is that an official
No,
pronunciation?
no,
it's just you.
I'm just making up random syllables.
So,
Tut.
King Tut.
King Tut.
Tutankhamun.
Tutankhamun.
Okay, that's good.
That's him.
Any others? Or yeah, so you feel there's a curse around that.
There's some sort of curse around that one.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there's others. Was
Well, are there
was
rumours that
Cleopatra-
you've heard
In what way?
about the curse of the Pharaohs, sort of in let's
Well,
say
I mean, all of them, isn't it? Oh, he who disturbs my slumber shall blah 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 blah. I can't remember the exact wording.
That's exactly what it says.
No.
He who deserves my suburb, blah blah blah. Skip to the end.
The engraver got very tired.
Stabby, stabby, stabby.
Yeah, it's hard work knocking up all those characters, the hieroglyphs.
Yes, you have the tomb. You have ancient
that's the big
warnings.
one.
That is the big one. There's certain curses that have been mixed up with the curse around the tomb, but actually a whole separate thing.
Entirely separate mummy
We
curses.
have to do that, and also maybe a famous certain ship.
Yes, there was one. Wasn't there a mummy on the Titanic?
That's what you've heard.
That's what I've heard. But I don't think it was the Titanic. It was like one of the sister ships or something like that. That was absolutely fine. And had no issue.
Well, I'll address it.
Okay, fine.
We'll come to
We'll come to
that.
Okay.
And mummy eating. We'll throw in some mummy eating
Oh, yes,
as well.
and some nice Victorian eating a mummy.
Yes, that's just a thing that happened.
Just because why not?
But of course, I'll address that
There's magical
briefly.
shit going on there.
Because it's the Victorians and it's Halloween. Yay. You mentioned the curse as well, the famous phrase that people keep associating with predominantly the opening of King Tutankhamun's tomb. And that is, death will come on swift wings to him who disturbs
that's
the
the one.
peace of the king. Now, we will come to whether or not that is true. There's actually a fair few books have been written about ancient Egypt.
one or two I hear.
There was one where people have also added to this phrase that the legitimacy of any of this is questionable, but it's quite lovely. In this book, The Curse of the Mummy by Candace Fleming, it says, "Death will slay with its wings whoever disturbs the peace of the Pharaoh. Oh, anyone who enters this tomb, who will make evil against this tomb. May the crocodile be against him on water, and the snake against him on land. May the hippopotamus be against him on water, and the scorpion against him on land. It is I who drives back robbers from the tomb with flames of the desert. I am the protector. of Tutankhamun's grave, and I will kill all those who cross this threshold.
Oh.
Debatable whether that was anywhere.
That's quite
ever.
lengthy. That's quite a lengthy one.
Yeah, people sort of say like it was written above the door on a tablet. That's a long.
That's a long old thing. Yeah.
No, but it was rumored for a long time that phrase "death will come on swift wings"
Yes.
was found.
That's the one. Oh, yes, I know.
We shall come back to this. I will also point out now we're a humble true crime podcast. I have not managed to encompass the entirety of every pharaonic dynasty into this
What are you
episode.
playing at?
I know. Yeah,
have you been playing?
I was nearly there, but then I had a bit of a lie down. Obviously, any element we talk about today will have branch upon branch leading off it into the historic significance and cultural impact. But we're going to talk about curses.
Okay.
So, for context, for those who aren't up on their ancient Egyptian stuff. I'm off to a good start there, aren't I, with the word stuff in there.
Always got to get some stuff in there.
Okay, so the pharaohs,
Yeah.
they are the kings. They are
Yes.
the bridge between the gods and humans, people
Yes,
on
people.
Earth. They're sort of not quite demigods.
Semi-divine
They wouldn't call
type
themselves
thing, yes.
demigods, but they are semi-divine. As soon as they are crowned, they become greater than anyone
Yes.
on Earth, but they're not quite a god yet. And they run the Earth, they run the things. But then when they pass, they're going to go into the afterlife, and that's where they're going to become gods. So that requires great ceremony for them being
absolutely.
buried. Buried in elaborate tombs, filled, famously, with treasure.
With stuff you're going to need when you're a god.
Yes, stuff that you're going to need when you're a god, but also stuff that's going to help you on the journey. And stuff that belong to you, because
You want your stuff.
Well, it's your stuff, and also it's sacred.
Yeah.
Because you were as close as possible to a god on Earth, so you're going to need your clothes.
Exactly. Want my godly pants and my godly socks.
You joke, pants
No.
were in the tombs.
No joke.
They had all their underwear,
Yeah.
and they had their feathery gowns,
Yes.
and they had their various bits and pieces. They put everything in there. They shoved everything into the tombs.
It's pretty easier that way than going, oh shit, we've got to clear his house. Because it's going to be a big old house.
It's a big old house. Just put it all in there.
Just put it all in there, it'll be fine. He can have it later.
So the things that would be put into the tombs: clothing, jewelry, furniture, chariots, weapons, pottery, statues, guardians to guard the burial room, also mummified animals,
Yep.
live animals sometimes, and slaves
Yeah.
every now and then.
You're going to need some slaves in the afterlife.
Gonna need some slaves in the afterlife, so shove them in there, and they're like, okay, why? Thousands, literally, of objects, plus the sarcophagus containing the mummified body of the king, and the tombs were packed also with spells. So these words on stone, everything we hear about, there were spells written on papyrus, there were spells written on the tombs, on the walls, to help the dead protect themselves in the afterlife on their journey. So these are known as the coffin texts. You also have the Book of the Dead, which has taken on various different meanings over the years, but it is a collection of the writings that were in the tomb.
Yes.
But then it's also been turned into some sort of magical book of magic.
It's not.
It's not. No,
It's actually very, very boring.
yes,
I-
it's a
I-
list of all the items.
Yeah, I sort of I sort of ordered it. I got a copy when I was like, I think I watched The Mummy or something, and I sort of expected this
that.
great sort of like metal book to arrive with a magical key and me to summon mummies, and it didn't work. It was just a very, very dry list of things to do when you're dead.
Yes, these are all the things that you need to do, and these are all the spells that you need to cast.
Yeah.
And they are very much like walk forward 6 paces. It's a bit like a very boring games manual, but it's there. And protect themselves on the way to judgment with Osiris, and some scripts to say in the judgment as well. I don't know if you got that in your book, but the book would contain what they have to say to
Yeah,
Osiris.
I didn't get that far through it.
It was like, I've done very good things.
Yeah.
I'm here. Hello. I made jam. I did all of these things. Now, the tombs were once in the pyramids. We all know and love the pyramids.
Yeah.
But then later, they were carved in rock in the Valley of the Kings.
Yes.
Famous Valley of the Kings, which is by what is now known as modern-day Luxor. Back then, it was Thebes. Thebes. With me so far? Okay.
So
Good.
far,
Okay,
so
we know
good.
what
So far, so
happens
good.
with pharaohs when they die, where they go. We have a nice collection of tombs stuffed to the rafters with treasures just sitting there. Did I say treasures? I mean important historical artifacts.
Yes, absolutely.
That must be catalogued and studied and not taken at all. No.
Not looted from museums.
No. Looting from museums, we all know that happened and it's really not okay. But really, people have been messing with the final resting places of these kings, these gods, for millennia.
I think long before the British Museum came along.
Oh,
I think
whoa.
people were in there trying to nick stuff.
When the pharaohs were buried, people literally lining up watching.
Yeah.
all of 8 minutes.
Yeah.
No, not 8 minutes, but
Really,
weeks.
yeah, really, really quick.
Weeks. It wasn't as if people were waiting, and hundreds of years later, certainly that happened. People were just like going, he's in. Oh, well, if I go to bed, tunneling into the tombs almost immediately, relatively, to steal what they could. Now, they couldn't take out a lot of stuff because you've got to make tiny, tiny holes.
Yeah.
Under the sand and sort of in through there and then cover it up. And you can't drag out a chariot. You can't drag out a gold statue. You're just going to take some of the money or whatever you
the
can.
little bits and pieces that you can put in your pockets.
And just that this was such a big problem. And it was well known. It was well known that this happened. It was a terrible crime, theft and desecration of these tombs. Those guarding the tombs were bribed, they were corrupt, and it became so bad that it was thought that the Valley of the Kings actually was created. Pyramids were difficult to build as well, time-consuming.
And also quite difficult to hide.
Yes, quite difficult. It's just there.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's one of the reasons why they ended up burying people underground as a way to try and hide them.
Well, actually, the Valley of the Kings was sort of a secure area. They could guard it better than just a massive pyramid where they go, well, we can see it.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, and it's not that the tombs were hidden at the time. They would become hidden over the years, but obviously it was just more of a controlled area.
Yes.
The Valley of the Kings has been searched out, and you can go there, and you have to be very careful. But yes, warnings were placed in the tombs and in the dynasties that followed, different pharaohs who were buried there, about those who would dare to break in, warning them that fate would catch up with them for their crimes. So these sorts of tablets and that, those phrases I said at the beginning, those warnings were in the tombs, but they weren't more that, you have broken the pharaoh's slumber.
No, it's more like, fuck off.
Yeah. It is the equivalent of thieves will be prosecuted on this premise. No tools are left in this tomb overnight. We're watching you. Those kind of signs up, and the thieves are like, fuck off, flicking these at it. Because they just were trying to go, stop stealing shit. In many ways. So over the many, many years, the many, many tombs were slowly raided and then covered back up. So pyramids of Giza, that we know and love, they were raided with fire and vinegar.
Nice.
Yes, I don't know what they used the vinegar for. Probably it was some sort
Cleaning on the way out.
just flinging it in someone's eye. Tales would emerge of vengeful spirits in an effort to dissuade the thieves from breaking in. So certainly there would be people who believed you are going to piss off the gods in the afterlife, and they generally believe that. And also that doesn't hurt to share those stories out there, to say, please stop breaking in because the gods will be after you.
Indeed.
So it's all folklore, it all builds and builds and builds. And interest in Egyptology never wanes, and you have periods, again, the pyramids of Giza, I think it was in the 1300s, there was a massive raid of them then, and everything was taken out, like the mummies were like, oh, this is ours now. But it really reignites with dear old Napoleon.
Oh, he loved a bit of Egypt.
He did. And he did bring experts when he invaded Egypt. He brought scholars and experts in there to study and find the tombs, but also, can I have some shit?
Also, can I have some, yes. Oh, look, some gold.
Yes, that would look really nice in my throne room or my billiards room. Napoleon Bonaparte's teams found the Rosetta Stone, which was huge. Which was absolutely huge. But even then, they were like, shit, we didn't actually expect that. No, we were just trying to find treasure.
That's quite handy.
On one hand, he did care about the history and the reverence of, we must study these ancient civilizations.
But also, gold!
6 of one, half a dozen.
I can buy extra soldiers with that.
Yes, we can do a lot. Who's going to miss this entire gold thing here? Just strip that off. Things ramp up, of course, in the 19th and 20th century with multiple discoveries, such as the Temple of Ramesses II, the Tomb of Nefertiti. But barring a couple of juicy single finds, these tombs were largely empty by the 1800s and the 1900s because they had been pillaged and they had
pre-robbed.
Oh, absolutely pre-robbed. But you still have these incredible tombs and the artwork, or the the inscriptions on the walls, and they're great finds. And what little you can find will tell you so much about the ancient civilizations. But then came the big one, the opening of the tomb of King Tutankhamun, and a curse that was set free. I will take a moment here, though, to address the fact that curses about mummies are not new.
No.
Obviously, there's been a lot of stories, and people going, oh, don't go in there, please don't, thieves. But actually, just before Tutankhamun's tomb was opened, there was a huge rumour going around about this terrible curse of one mummy in particular. Have you heard of the unlucky mummy?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Aha, there we are.
Tell me.
So the unlucky mummy is a series of utterly ludicrous tales associated with one
Brilliant.
artifact, and it is well worth reading in depth about everything that's alleged to have happened with this artifact. Now, it is a wooden mummy board. It's not even a mummy.
Mummy, what's a mummy board?
So a mummy board it looks like the top of a sarcophagus.
Oh, okay, right.
So it's painted, it's sort of intricate, it's not a full sort of, stone or beautifully heavy gilded sarcophagus top, but it's a wooden mummy board. And it has this beautiful imagery that was preserved on the front of it of a lady.
Okay.
Of a lady. So it was discovered, it dates back to about 900 BC. 950, 900 BC. It is possibly a priestess of Amun-Ra, and she was given to the British Museum in 1889 by Jack the Ripper. Obviously. No, she was donated
Who had
by...
been in Egypt, killed a few people, came back with a mummy.
I mean, it's the only logical explanation.
Absolutely.
The mummy's curse travelled to Whitechapel, and then he cashed in on it. So it was donated by a lady on behalf of a Mr. Arthur Wheeler, and everyone who apparently touched or looked at this board suffered terrible misfortune. So it was first bought by a man named Murray in the 1860s, allegedly, when he went over to Egypt, and there was this artifact, and he drew lots with these other people who were like, I will pay for it, I will pay for it. And the first guy who drew the lot, who won it, died instantly. Just shot in the face, in the hand, and everything. Just dropped dead. And then Murray came back and went, aha, yes, wonderful. And
lucky me.
Lucky me. He shouldn't have. He was warned before his voyage by a palm reader that he was going to get a valuable prize that would bring great destruction. So once he had bought the artifact, he lost an arm.
Okay.
Yeah, he was shot in the arm, it went gangrenous, and he lost an arm. Right. On board...
This is all of the auction. So it's a busy auction,
Within
my
5
God.
minutes.
He's hardly off the boat.
Yeah, the auctioneer is just like rubbing his hands. Or please get this the fuck out of the room.
He's got no arms left at all, the auctioneer.
The auctioneer is dying.
He's banging the gavel with his feet, trying to sell this bloody thing.
And Murray's like, oh, that's going to be lovely in my parlour. So Murray's lost an arm, like, okay. Boards the boat back. Everyone who handled it for him died of death within a year. People on the boat that transported it back fell overboard, had to be buried at sea because they dropped dead. An occultist named Madame Helena Blavatsky.
Oh, yes, you know Madame Blavatsky.
You do? Okay, that's how you pronounce it, Blavatsky. Yeah. So she said that this item, because she came in contact with it when it returned to the UK, was imbued with evil.
Yes.
It was an evil thing and must be got rid of. But
she was quite big in her day.
She was quite big. Yeah, it was talked about on the British Museum and everything. I don't really know much about her, but there we are. But yes, Murray was like, pish posh, I'll keep it. And then anyone who wrote about the mummy board, following this assessment from Helena, went mad. People who saw it, looked at it, wrote about it, broke off engagement, went into debt. Someone sprained their ankle while moving it. It was actually written. The man moved it, sprained his ankle. The horrors never cease.
My God, this curse it's just never ending.
Finally, it was flung at the British Museum, passed on to different people, flung at the British Museum. Take this, please take this. Continue to cause death and misery. If a child laughed at it, the child would die. Anyone who tried to touch it died. Glass shattered all around it. And she also haunted the now defunct British Museum tube station.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Yes,
the haunting of the tube station.
That is, it's Amun-Ra.
Is it her? Yes.
It's her. Well, it's not Amun-Ra, it's the priestess. She's been over the years called it's Amun-Ra. It's not
read about
correct.
That. Mummy haunting the police station.
She was down there and she would loom...
The tube station.
She would loom out of the darkness.
Yes.
This incredible figure screaming at people. It's amazing.
Oh, yes. I have read about that.
Great story, but that's her. So on and on and on the stories go. That is but a snippet. But did she sink the Titanic?
Did she? Probably.
The story goes that the mummy board was on board the Titanic. Okay. It was being shipped to America.
Just get rid of it and send it over there.
British Museum, please take this motherfucker. Take it. When the ship went down on the 15th of April 1912 with 1,517 souls, it was said that the ship had fallen victim to the mummy's curse.
Curse has struck again.
Some say the board did make it back to shore.
I'd say it's the mummy in the lifeboats.
Literally. Women and children first. She was a lady.
Women and children and mummies.
The collector was carrying it, got it on board a lifeboat. Like, okay. But others say she sank to the bottom of the ocean with the ship, and it is her curse that condemns anyone from approaching the wreckage. So any misfortunes that happened, anything...
Well, a few people have got by.
A few people have got by, but some haven't.
Some haven't, that's true.
And some people have gotten by, eventually died, Nick.
This is very true.
They haven't lived forever.
Yeah, that's why I love that about a curse. It's sort of like, the curse has struck again! 46 years later.
God damn you!
The man died of natural causes.
Indeed. There she is at the bottom of the ocean, or she was passed on and able to continue a terrible curse. No cargo list for the ship.
Yeah.
Lists the mummy on board. There is no mummy. There was no mummy board. No, nothing. Nada. She never left the British Museum.
Still there.
She's still there now.
Still
you
there.
can go and see her.
Haunting everyone.
I think you can go and see her. I think she's technically supposed to go on tour. But why not?
Why not?
Why not? But never on the Titanic. The story was actually that famed journalist W.T. Stead was on board the Titanic, and he famously went down with the ship. But he was telling stories. He regaled people of the stories of the unlucky mummy. He had heard all of these cursed stories and read about them and written about them, and he built this story up, and everyone was absolutely transfixed. So after the disaster, he went down with the ship. He gave away his life jacket. He helped people get on board. But he did not survive. So he couldn't survive to tell people, going, no, it was just a story. The story got convoluted over the years, and it turned into, he was telling a story of a mummy board. There was a mummy on board. Oh, there was a mummy on board the Titanic. No. But there we go. So we have all these people obsessed with curses already. A huge appetite for Egyptology, but also spooky stories around the artifacts. And then we come to the opening of King Tutankhamun's tomb. And it would bring all of this in an explosion of press excitement to the tomb.
To the tomb!
So, King Tut.
Yes.
Dear old King Tut.
Dear old King Tut.
Do you know about him?
I know a little bit about him. He was quite young. He was like 14 or something, wasn't he?
He was 1819 when he died.
So a young lad.
Yes, he came to the throne, as it were, when he was 9.
Yes.
So, a very short reign, 9-10 years.
Yeah, indeed.
He was expected to go a lot longer.
One would hope.
So he didn't get much to do between 1332 and 1323 BC, and that always hurts.
Yeah, I find he's going backwards on
He's
BC.
going backwards.
Yeah.
He died, it's thought of malaria, possibly a leg injury.
Yeah.
Some would have it that he was murdered. He wasn't. It's because they were like, oh no, there was things missing in the cavity of his head. It was like, no, that was just when they opened up the sarcophagus, his head fell apart. But he died early, and so his tomb wasn't ready. When you get a pharaoh, you build the biggest tomb ever. But because he died so young, he was buried in a much smaller tomb. And this is what contributed to him not being discovered for a very long time. Also, he wasn't really on any official lists of pharaohs for a long time because he was kind of scrubbed out from history.
Well, his father wasn't particularly popular.
No, he was a heretic.
Yeah.
Big old
His
heretic.
Father, but Tutankhamun tried to undo a lot of what his father had done.
He did.
But he
had like 9-10
exactly.
years.
He had very small time to do this and to sort of make his mark.
Yeah, and he was trying to rebuild monuments and do stuff and going, sorry.
Yes. But that's been a bit nuts.
Yeah, but so as a result, when he died, his father and him, they were kind of scrubbed off monuments and things. So they weren't on the list, but, those in the know knew he existed. And his tomb in the Valley of the Kings had been hidden by piles of debris from other digs. So when people were searching for the tombs over the centuries, over the millennia, all of this silt and everything was being thrown on top of on top of this tomb. Yeah. And it's what ends up making it so famous because no one could find it. But it was found in 1922 by Howard Carter.
Dear old Howard Carter.
Now, as I said, we touched on the story briefly on Patreon, but there's far much more detail here. Howard Carter was an artist at heart, but then he was sent to Egypt, sponsored by a noble neighbour, sent off there, and he worked with many experts over the years, and he built up his expertise. And he spent a very long time working in Egypt. He worked on numerous sites. He's seen incredible discoveries in the Valley of the Kings, but he knew that King Tutankhamun's tomb could be found. I mean, certainly he had it in his heart. He knew it was out there.
It's out there, I can find it.
And we must catalogue it, and he hadn't had a really big score. He's out there from 1907, and then he ends up being sponsored by George Herbert, otherwise known as Lord Carnarvon.
Lord Carnarvon.
The Earl of Carnarvon. Very wealthy aristocrat.
Yes.
Lovely, just struts around. Yes,
Yes.
I love being wealthy.
I love money.
I love money. Lived in Highclere Castle. Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey, that's where he was. And the pair would work together for 16 years. Carnarvon funding him. He's the backer in England. Carter is overseeing the digs with his team of experts from Egypt who don't get any credit whatsoever.
No.
He's just sipping tea until they find something, and then he
Dig
runs.
faster.
Yes. Hits them with a cane. Maybe he didn't hit them with a cane. He's very methodical.
No,
and
he
he's...
employs people to hit them with canes.
Yes, he does. He is methodical, he's very precise, but he's finds a few little things he's not getting anywhere. And it ends up with he's like going to Carnarvon, who's saying, I'm going to have to pull the plug on this. There's no more money. Well, I'm not going to give you any more money. Carter's like, no, come on, man. You got to give me one last score. You got to let me do this.
One last summer.
One last summer. I can do this. I'll pay for it myself. Carnarvon's like, why are you talking like that? It's weird. But yet it's very much like he begs him and says, give me one last chance to find this. He's like, fine. But Carter puts up his own money, presses on. In 1922, on the 4th of November, they're all digging, flinging stuff about. And the legend would have it is that a water boy, just a boy, is off the site, just sort of to the side of it, kicking around with a stick, and he notices steps. He pushes back the sand and he can see steps. And steps mean a tomb.
Yes.
And it's big deal to archaeologists. Most of us would go, oh, steps. And he
No, I think I'd be probably slightly more excited than that.
Well, I think if you're in Egypt, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be quite a big thing, I think.
I see a lot of steps.
Fair
I'm
enough.
not impressed by steps. So I don't know why I'm bragging about that. But he cries out, of course, and he cries out, and I can just imagine Carter like booting him out of the way, you! I found it!
I found this!
Me!
I found it!
I found it! I'm the greatest archaeologist ever! Like, knocks the kid aside. But they dig away and they can see the steps lead down to a sealed door. The door is sealed. Oh my God, this may not have been breached. And he famously sends a telegram to Lord Carnarvon. At last we have made a wonderful discovery in Valley. A magnificent tomb with seals intact, recovered, same, for your arrival. Congratulations. So there's a lot of, we found it, cover it up again.
Cover it up again.
And then he comes, oh!
Wait for the rich person to arrive.
Yeah, and there's a lot of staging of photographs. So there's
Yes.
many photographs that many people have seen over the years, and you'll see it in all the Egyptology books of them all standing in a line. So Lord Carnarvon comes over with his sexy daughter, Evelyn, who is named for Rachel Weisz's character is named for her. I don't think they look the same, but she's sexy daughter. But they come over and they're posing by the door. So there's a series of photographs where they all stand there like, yes, this is it. And they pose that for hours.
Yeah.
So they have to dig down. They find this door. The outer door has Tutankhamun's name on it and a seal showing a jackal standing over a collection of bound slaves.
Nice.
It's a bit scary. Just a bit. Why would you go in there? Would you want to go in there? It's
I
like-
don't know. Yeah, I think curiosity would probably get the better of you.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be like spending my entire life there and go, nope, and walk away. But they're like, pah, whatever. So they open this door, path full of rubble, and then they find the true door to the tomb. There's a lot of back and forth. This is a very slow process.
Oh, God, yes.
This is a few days, but...
Is this a stone? Is this treasure? No, it's stone.
Yeah, this is over a couple of days now that they've got Lord Carnarvon there and Evelyn, where they just need to see inside. And Carter is able to make a small opening and shine a candle in there, and they do this very carefully, and he looks inside, and he is the one who sees inside. And again, famously, Carnarvon asks, what can you see? And he replies, wonderful things. The tomb is full. He describes it like a theatre prop store. It is that packed and stuffed with things in there. It glitters, it looms with fortune and carved figures, and that's what makes the tomb so important. It is intact. No one has been in here that they can see yet. So the team officially have to wait for officials from Egypt to come and be there when the door opens. But that night, before they're going to come the next day, that night, fuck it. Carter, Carnarvon and Evelyn break in.
Yeah.
They make a little hole that they cover up in photos later with just a basket and just like, that never happened.
No, what
Oh, that was thieves before us. They go into the chamber. Evelyn is the first one into the darkness, and they look around and they can see it's full.
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, how could you resist?
How
could you resist? They go in, they have to be the first that go in there. And yes, they confirm that this is incredible. Robbers have been into the tomb. There are paths into the tomb. whatever they've taken has been minimal because
Yeah.
there's still thousands of objects in there. There's an antechamber, 2 annexes, and then the burial room. And they won't go into the burial room for weeks because they just have to catalogue everything when they're in there. But the burial chamber, if you know this, is guarded by 2 massive statues
Yeah.
of the king. And they're black, they're ebony, and they're gold, and they are huge sentinels. And people find this kind of image or this story very ominous because as if to say, don't come in here.
Yeah, just fuck
Don't
off.
do it. There's not a lot of pictures of them. It's more of them standing around going, oh, a cart. They would take months and years to work to explore and catalogue everything. The sarcophagus of King Tut was not opened until 1925 because it was so heavy and needed such careful work. But they'd go in, oh my God, it's a sarcophagus. And they'd take it up. And there is his mummified remains and famously his death mask, which
Yes.
is now the symbol of Egyptology.
Absolutely.
He would describe it as a very neatly wrapped mummy. Nice, of the young king.
Pretty tidy.
With the gold mask of sad but tranquil expression, symbolising Osiris. That mask bears that god's attributes, but the likeness is that of King Tutankhamun. Placid and beautiful, with the same features as we find upon his statues and coffins. The mask has fallen back slightly, thus his gaze is straight up to the heavens. Now, while they're going through this and cataloguing it over the weeks, Carter absolutely pocketing shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just taking stuff. There, I'll have this and I'll have that. But
I
he's
found it.
meticulously
I'm
covering it. But at the time, he's just taking artifacts and giving them to people. Stealing from the tomb. That is the crime. Stealing from shit. Because they don't give a shit, apparently. They're like, we treated it with reverence and catalogued it.
It's catalogued. It's written down.
You're still taking stuff. So, yeah. And this is the discovery of discoveries. But it has come, allegedly, with a terrible curse. Because only a short while later, Lord Carnarvon lies dead, and in the weeks and months and years that followed, mysterious deaths would stalk those who had entered King Tut's tomb.
My God.
And I think that's time for a drink.
I think it is.
Nick, we have our drinks.
We do.
The tomb has been opened.
Oh, God.
The curse has been unleashed.
It's free.
It's free. It's flapping about like that. So, this find of the century apparently unlocks horrors that make the entire world twitch with anticipation.
Nice.
Yes. The Pharaoh is not happy.
Well, no.
If people would have you believe.
Of course not.
So one of the famous uncanny incidents that happened during the opening is that a workman went to Carter's house and he found that a cobra had made its way into the house and it was in the process of eating Carter's canary. It had gotten into the cage. Yeah. And the little canary was being eaten, and he could hear it squealing. But the cobra, obviously a symbol of the Egyptians.
Yeah.
Bad sign if ever there was one.
Well, yeah, not ideal.
Much was made of this.
Yeah.
As soon as people heard that this cobra had broken in to the house.
Broken in.
Broken
Got
in.
some lockpicks. They're picking a lock, smashing windows.
Yeah, it's like, the way they would have it. He broke into the tomb, the cobra fucked up his house. Yeah, pretty much slithered in, knocked. Hello. But now to more practical stuff. Where does the curse come from? There is a grounding in reality is like how the curse emerged. If you're not going to believe the folklore and whispers across the wind, how does this spread? It's most likely Carnarvon's fault.
Okay.
Because Lord Carnarvon sold the exclusive press rights to this
To the
discovery.
Daily Mail.
No, to the Times.
Oh.
To the Times. A Daily Mail reporter was present,
Nice.
but the Times. He decides they're going to have the exclusive. Carter has arranged for the photography. They have agreed, both of them, okay, fine, go to the Times. Press aren't happy. Apart from the Times.
Apart from the Times,
The
they're
Times are
delighted.
But all of these photos and all of these stories and all of these reports are going to one newspaper to the point where the Egyptians have to read about it in the UK press.
Yeah.
They're not even told about it. They're like, okay, what now? It's not only a slight to Egypt, but the rest of the media are furious and they have this vacuum where they know this is all that people want to read about and they're playing catch up with, oh, well, what's in the Times next that we can print tomorrow? What can we get from the ground? No, it's just a lockdown. So they start making up their own stories.
Let's just make up some shit.
They'll make up some shit. They'll get shit from wherever they can.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned the Daily Mail reporter. He was sort of there as the tomb was opened. He could observe it, but he couldn't report on it. And he noted how Lord Carnarvon was so jovial and laughing, and he would say misfortune's going to befall him soon.
Far too jolly.
Far too jolly. Yeah. Well, he'll get his comeuppance. And he turns this into a sort of curse that he can print into the papers like, oh, no.
So it is all the Daily Mail's fault.
Yeah, there we are. It's always the Daily Mail's fault. It's always the Daily Mail. So they get whatever story they can from different people to show why this tomb should never have been opened. I'll read our story much more, because, again, spiritualism is a big thing.
Yeah.
So let's go with spooky shit. The New York World in March 1923 publishes the story by writer Marie Corelli. Famously, she claimed she had sources that said that the tomb was cursed and misfortune would befall any of those people who were linked with the site. So you've got this reporter who's in there saying that Lord Carnarvon was laughing and like, well, he'll get his comeuppance. You've got this woman going, no, it's a terrible curse of the tomb, and all the stuff that's gone on before with the unlucky mummy. Hokum, well, Lord Carnarvon dies. But a few weeks after, the tomb is opened while staying at his hotel in Cairo on the 5th of April, 1923.
Yeah.
He dies. He had a mosquito bite on him and he nicked it, and he then got septicemia.
Gets infected, yeah.
So he died from blood poisoning. Allegedly, when he died, all the lights went out in Cairo. And at home at Highclere Castle, his dog howled into the air and dropped dead. Now, he did die of blood poisoning.
Yes.
He was way sick. All of his life.
Yes. He was a fairly old chap by this point.
Yes. He was quite old, and he was not in good health. He'd had road accidents. It was sort of said that if he had a strong coughing fit, he would die. It wouldn't take a lot.
Yeah.
And he was frail. The lights did go out in Cairo because that happened all the time.
Because every other night the lights went out.
All the time. They were like, oh, God damn it. I don't know if it was the exact moment, but that day, ooh, it was a blackout. It's all the press need to hear.
Of course.
The story of the dog, no one's quite sure if that's true because a maid told that story that his dog died. And they're like, well, did they account for the time difference?
Exactly. I mean, who is actually going to know that?
Well, I think it's weird if the dog howls and then dies and they find out the master's died. It's quite possible that happened.
Yeah.
And it would be,
but, like,
ooh,
4 days later or something.
Spooky. Ooh, isn't that weird? That's really sad and everything. Oh, it's not the curse. The curse. But yes, he dropped dead. Apparently, later when Tutankhamun was examined, he had a mosquito bite on his face. And no one was able to determine, because it was so long after Carnarvon had died, that the king's face was examined. They couldn't see if it matched up. He had a lesion on his face. Some people even say it was just a lesion. And was it, did he nick himself while shaving? Or did he had a mosquito bite? Was he punched in the face? I don't know.
Also, he's been decomposing for 4,000 years.
Well, he's mummified. He's quite well preserved. But, yeah, everyone's like, oh my God, coincidence. He's like a king, Carnarvon. But yes, there's a rational explanation-ish for all of this, but people are determined, no, he was destined to die. And one of the craziest stories is from the Irish mystic and palm reader and fraudster to the stars. So Chiro, I think his name's Chiro, sometimes it's Cairo, Cheiro. He's a really interesting character. There's I couldn't go into his details too much on this show because it's just too much to fit in. But he is this mystic, and he was a palm reader, and he read the palms of royalty and all these stars, and then they found out he was like laundering money and like stealing from them and everything. But he apparently had told, well, after Lord Carnarvon had died, all the mystics come out.
Yeah.
And he said that he had foretold of Lord Carnarvon's death.
Of course, yeah.
Lord Carnarvon was a big spiritualist.
Yeah,
he was into...
Well, that was everyone back then.
Yes, he had seances all the time at Highclere Castle. And that scene that I painted at the beginning, that apparently happened. There was a seance there and someone started speaking in an ancient Egyptian language, and it could have been a fraudster. Obviously, it definitely was. But everyone was like, oh my God, wow, we know he's going to Egypt, saying something in Egyptian. Maybe.
And also, who the hell knows what Egyptian sounds like?
This is all bollocks, by the way. I'm going to say it's bollocks. But Cairo, he had read his palm. He'd attended the seance and he said, terrible things will happen if you go to Egypt. And he is the one at the beginning of the story on Halloween night in 1922. He had obtained this mummified hand while he was traveling in Egypt. And he took it back with him to America, but then he noticed the hand had started bleeding and looking quite lifelike. So on Halloween night, he burned it in the fire. He saw this spirit emerge and he knew that there was something terrible going to happen. And but a mere few days later, the tomb was opened.
Okay.
Bollocks, obviously, but great story.
Yeah, love it. If it's true, grand. Not true.
But after the Earl's death, the media went into a frenzy. Curse is real. Curse is real.
Curse is definitely real.
So all of these kind of apocryphal stories or these kind of like puffed up stories that had happened before, oh my God, we now have a death. Oh, we're right. We're completely justified. So to the point, we mentioned it on Patreon a while ago when we did a very, very short take on this story. Mussolini had a mummy, had accepted an Egyptian mummy as a gift. He instantly got rid of it.
Yeah.
When he heard of the death, he goes, this is cursed. This is cursed. Absolutely no way. Arthur Conan Doyle.
He believed a lot of shit.
He believed a lot of shit. When he heard of Lord Carnarvon's death, and he'd been following the story, and he was asked for a comment, and he immediately said it was caused by elementals inside the tomb.
Of course it was.
And I'm now going to write a shit ton of stories about this and make some money. But also, he probably believed it. He was like, elementals, they're here. The other victims, though, supposedly of the curse. Carnarvon, weird coincidence, and everyone has lent into it. But allegedly, many, many more people died.
Many more?
So, 1925. Not a death, but interesting.
Okay.
Okay, so anthropologist Henry Field went to visit the tomb. He met Carter, and that Carter had given him a gift.
Oh, right.
Which was a paperweight containing a mummified hand.
Oh, that's going to do it.
Yeah, and Henry Field gave this to his friend, Sir Bruce Ingram. The wrist, apparently, of the mummy was adorned with a scarab bracelet, marked with, "Cursed be he who moves my body.
That'll do it.
To him shall come fire, water, and pestilence."
Nice.
Not a great gift.
Love a bit of pestilence.
I mean, I would quite like that gift, though, actually. I would quite like that. After receiving the gift, Ingram's house burned down. And then when he rebuilt it, a flood hit it.
Oh, that'll do it.
There's no report of cockroaches or
Any
locusts.
pestilence?
Maybe there was a plague. He survived, but his house suffered.
His house didn't.
Okay, so you have George J. Gould, the first, an American railroad tycoon. He visited the tomb on the 16th of May 1923, fell ill almost immediately after visiting it, and then died of fever. A few weeks later, he died. Lord Carnarvon's half-brother, Aubrey, he died from blood poisoning too,
Did he go to Egypt and look at the tomb?
September 1923. No, but he sort of knew Lord Carnarvon.
Right, yes, but he was,
He touched him on the shoulder once.
Saw him at Christmas.
Yeah. He'd heard the stories. Hugh Evelyn White, archaeologist who helped excavate the tomb. Now, this is creepy.
Okay.
So the folklore around it is that he hanged himself in 1924, and he left a note written in his own blood, which reportedly said, "I have succumbed to the curse."
Yeah.
But it was a newspaper report that I found. What actually happened was that Hugh Evelyn White shot himself in a taxi on the way to the inquest of a girl who had killed herself. She was in love with him. She was obsessed with him, but it was unrequited love.
Right.
And she poisoned herself.
Oh.
And he had written a letter, and this was read out in court at some point, whether it's to her or at some point, he said, "I knew there was a curse upon me." So, not quite hang yourself blood letter, but far more tragic and eerie, really, that story. But apparently had said that he'd written this note saying that, "I knew there was a curse upon me." Apparently his brother denied that he'd ever written it. But his brother would be denying a lot of stuff that he'd done because it's a really horrible case. But there we go. It's the one that I was like, interesting.
Well, very tragically sad.
Very sad. Very sad. Sir Archibald Douglas Reed.
Oh, him.
The radiologist who scanned Tutankhamun. Did the X-ray scan of the mummy. He fell ill. He died in 1924. He'd been ill for some time. Because you know what? He was handling X-rays.
He's doing a lot of X-rays.
He's doing a lot of X-rays, but that was the final nail, apparently. Yeah. Richard Bethel. Okay, so he was Carter's personal assistant. And in November 1929,
Okay.
he was the one who died at a gentleman's club.
Right.
He was smothered. Mysterious circumstances.
Mysteriously smothered.
He was murdered. He was murdered. Again,
By the mummy.
details of this, trying to dig it out. I was going down the hole. I was like, I can't spend too long trying to find it, trying to find this information. It's like, all it is that he was smothered. He was smothered. He was smothered. What I did find was an absolutely brilliant article mentioning that, oh yes, he died and his father died. His father threw himself out of a window and his apartment was where the artifacts were kept. But you know what? He wasn't actually a victim of the curse. He was a victim of Aleister Crowley.
Oh, nice.
There was one writer who claimed that Aleister Crowley was very, very annoyed at the opening of the tomb.
I mean, he lost some Egyptian ship.
He did. It was sacrilegious to his Thelema
Yes.
philosophy. So he murdered everyone involved in the...
Right.
At least 6 people.
Okay.
Murdered them. He sent curses. It was his curses.
But this was the brother of the... of his personal assistant. No,
No, it was the personal assistant. No, it was Carter's personal assistant.
Carter's personal assistant.
Carter's personal assistant was smothered in a club.
Right.
Mysteriously.
And it was the brother who said it was Crowley.
No, it was just this writer.
Oh, right, okay.
Just one
where
guy.
Where am I getting a brother from? I don't know.
No, there was the half-brother of Lord Carnarvon. He died of blood poisoning.
Right, I'm getting very
Yes.
confused.
And I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Now Crowley's in the bloody mix.
No, he's in there, so it's even more confusing.
One guy went, I reckon something.
Was he there as well? Was he in Egypt? Was he in the tomb?
Well, maybe he was there going, no. Well, the most powerful magician
That's true.
would have it known was
And
sending
we
out.
know he went to Egypt. So,
Maybe it's Crowley the whole time. Why haven't you talked about this, Nick? You see, you think you know everything about him, and I give you the curse.
failed in my research.
So there you go. We can hang on to that. It was alleged maybe that toxic spores from
Yes.
the old tomb
Yes.
may have hastened people's demise. Hastened as in over many months and years where people just died. Though people have revisited this because there was a toxic fungus found when people opened a 15th century royal tomb in Poland in 1973. And this fungus that was in the tomb killed some scientists. It did have an effect on them. So maybe it was argued that they could have been showing symptoms. Maybe there was something. Maybe it hastened Lord Carnarvon's death. So maybe that's the true curse, is that the fungus attacked them. Carter and Evelyn Herbert, Carnarvon's daughter, lived for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the major issues. So the person who sort of discovered it and the first woman, or the first person in the tomb,
Yes.
they're absolutely fine.
Absolutely fine.
They're fine.
Absolutely
but like
fine.
someone's like great uncle who was once a taxi driver to a mummy is now dead, and the curse has struck.
Yes.
So
Maybe they made some sort of blood bargain when they
Yeah.
were in the tomb.
sort of prioritise your cursing. Come on.
Yeah. There was no warning in the tomb. The famous words, death will come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king, was not found anywhere near the tomb. People talked about it, that it was on this clay tablet. I think it's actually assigned to another tomb. And again, this warning against thieves, but it got mixed up. So no, it wasn't just lying there like, don't do this. So maybe not a direct curse, but misfortune did befall people. Before we leave mummies entirely... I think it would be remiss of me at Halloween not to discuss eating mummies.
Yes.
Yes. So, let's just talk about that. Let's talk about the eating of
It
mummies.
is an odd thing.
It is an odd thing.
It's an odd thing. Some
you-
nice powdered mummy.
Nice. Well, yes. The nice. You know the process of mummification.
Not in great detail, but roughly, yes.
You know there's 3 levels.
You sort of take out the insidey bits.
Yeah, so you've got to preserve the body. You've got
Yeah.
to make sure it's as preserved as possible so it can go to the afterlife. So Pharaohs, full treatment.
Yeah.
Full treatment. Then you get your sort of middle grade one where you're kind of slushed about with some stuff. And the third is like your basic disinfectant
Yeah.
cleaner shoved up you, and then you're twanged into a tree. Yeah, that kind of level.
Yeah.
So
It's expensive. Takes time.
it is. It's money. The perfect method is you remove the organs and rinse out the innards.
Yeah.
Get the brain out,
Yeah.
not by hook.
You
Not by hook.
Squish it around.
You just shove a rod up there
and
and
go. Blah, 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 blah.
blah. And I swear to God, on Wikipedia there is a picture of someone just sort of tilting a mummy, like a body upwards, and just sort of shaking it
Yeah.
out, like going, the brains come out through the nose, liquefied brains. You do that, and then you rinse it out with wine and spice, lovely palm wine and
Nice.
various spices, not frankincense. No, but myrrh and everything
that
else
in
that the
there.
3 kings brought, fine. So you do that, and then you sort of stuff them with lovely herbs and stuff to preserve it. And then you put the body in a natron, which is a mix of salt and bicarb.
Oh, okay.
So you put that in there for 70 days, so the body rests in there.
Suck out all the water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nicely preserved. Then you bring it out, then you wrap it in the muslin linens. And you've got some balms and stuff on the skin to have it adhere. Then you give it back to the family for burial. Go, there you go. A lot of care and stuff. The others, as I've said, was a bit more of a just fucking scrape it out and just hose them down a little bit. And just, there you are. Chuck it on the ground. But you're ready for the afterlife then. But the process of eating mummies came from a misunderstanding of the word mumia. So it started, we think, around the 11th century. This is where some good records exist. Maybe it was mentioned before. And there was a brilliant article about this on the National Geographic. This word mumia was the wax-like substance found then on the then called Persian mountains that was used for medicinal purposes. But people went, it sounds like mummy, so it's mummy juice. So the stuff that comes out of the mummy that's under the bandages, that's the good stuff.
Need.
That's good stuff. So they thought it was a substance that leaked out of mummies, or that was there, rather than just this lovely balm that was growing on a mountainside. It's like, no, we just got that from a lovely hedge. They wanted to get some of that mummy gum.
Mummy gum.
Mummy gum. Medicinal cannibalism, not new at this time. No, people have just been drinking gladiators' blood and like just rubbing bits of bone on their face and human fat. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. But everyone now wants a piece of the ancient mummies. So as mummies are being discovered, they think, they've got secret healing properties. So
very potent indeed.
Exactly. It spreads along the Silk Road, word of this. And as the tombs are being ransacked, they take the linens, and then they just end up taking bits of the gummy mummies and just eating them. So apparently mummy powder was used to stop internal bleeding, to cure a headache, prevent a stroke. Not the quickest course of cures, I fear.
Okay.
Yeah, so this man is dying of a stroke. Let's get to the British Museum at once.
Yes, indeed. Get me a mummy.
Yeah. And fake mummies then became a trade. So everyone wanted mummies and there was a demand for it. So then people started going, okay, fake mummies.
I'll make your mummy.
So we'll make your money. So body snatchers were then digging people up, and then they would go, okay, we'll just wrap them up, and then we'll burn them, we'll ground them into a powder. Oh my God, fake mummy. There we are. It's a fake person. I'm going to say it. What's the difference? No one's going to be able to tell the difference between a mummy and just some powder.
Exactly, just burn some wood.
Burn some wood. People were actually burning criminals and going, look, it's crumbled up skull. Here we are. Like, what doesn't matter?
Put a pig in a fire or something. Doesn't have to be like real people.
I don't know whether people were witnessing this or something that they wanted to see it.
I want a foot. So I wanted to look like a foot or a hand.
They wanted that. There was a huge trade in this fake mummies. But yeah, mummy snacking reached its heyday, of course, in the Victorian era. England has Egypt fever. So there's more and more discoveries being made, and more people are just rubbing mummies on their face and coffin juice and all of that sort of stuff going, well, we heard somewhere that it's good for us.
Yes.
Yeah. Nothing.
Spooky Jim round the corner said it was great.
Spooky season. Let's just eat something. That's fine. Nothing also beats an evening at a mummy unwrapping.
Nice.
Yep. Live unboxing. It was the original unboxing video. Because, you would all gather around and see mummies unwrapped. Yeah. And then they wanted to see the body, and then they broke off bits of it, and then allegedly
and you got a nice snack afterwards.
Nice little snack. And everyone was convinced whatever they were consuming, a king.
Oh yeah,
I am consuming a pharaoh, and I am as one with the pharaohs. I am the greatest person ever. Then they just ended up quaffing embalming fluid, because why not? Why not do that? So like embalming fluid, pharaoh, it's all fine. It's all a lovely heady mixture.
It's all much the same.
Yeah, it's surprising we're here. But yes, that fad petered out at the end of the 1800s because, ew.
Because everyone was dying.
And also body snatching also got shut down. So like, well, there's no mummies left. It's surprising how many mummies there were.
Yeah, it's a finite resource, I feel.
No one had worked that out. But it shut down and the mummies were finally laid to rest. Or maybe it was because people feared the horrors of the mummy's curse. And that is our Halloween story.
Oh, very good.
The curse of the pharaohs, the mummy's curse, the unlucky mummy, eating mummies. Leave them alone.
Just leave the mummies alone. Just leave them be. Just don't risk it.
So there you go. Many, many stories. What do you think, Nick?
I'm not entirely convinced that the curses are true. Surprisingly,
So you think there's nothing...
the complete believer that I am in all things. No, of course there's nothing. No.
You're just like, no.
No. Yes, an elderly, very ill man got bitten by a mosquito and died of malaria or something.
Blood poisoning.
Blood poisoning. Yes, that happens. Mm-hmm. Is it a curse? No. I mean, it's just how they managed to link. I mean, if, like, all three of them, Carnarvon and his daughter and Carter, if they all drop dead within a year,
Yeah.
okay, maybe something weird's going on there.
Yeah.
Something, but considering two of them lived to a ripe old age and had no bother whatsoever, and the stretch you have to go to, half of them never actually went to Egypt, but they just knew people who once got a postcard or something. So it's like...
I mean, it's easy. It's easy to spread because all you need to do is go, oh, but isn't that a coincidence? Isn't it weird that happened? And if you present it in the press in a certain way, as certainly they did back then, the very disgruntled press, they go, we've got a story from someone who has an immaculate source, absolutely foolproof, this source. Egyptologists have not found the sources behind that. Well, apparently there's supposed to be a spooky curse, and I saw it on a tablet once. They're just going to run it, and then people are going to go, oh my God, no, and it's the unknown. And it's
it
so...
doesn't make it right.
It doesn't... Not at all.
Doesn't make it true.
Not at all.
It makes people gullible. It did just hit at exactly the right time.
Exactly the right time.
There was this huge fascination in all things occult and mysterious and stuff like that. And then chucking a curse in there as well. It's just... Yeah, it's absolutely... Everyone is going to be absolutely enthralled by it. The timing was perfect for it to hit.
Yeah.
Because everyone was just desperate to believe in these sorts of things.
And there is that desire to believe in the mystic and to believe in the strange and the supernatural, particularly at this time of year. What are we doing for Halloween? Everyone's around there kind of going, oh, ghost stories, and maybe there's something. I was listening to and reading resources from Dr. Campbell Price, who is an Egyptologist, and I urge people to sort of check out his work. But the Pharaoh's curse, it's not being overly sentimental to say, the Pharaoh's curse really is the desire that people have, the actual, the fever and the frenzied desire people have to learn more about ancient Egypt. It is fascinating, but it has led to deaths where people in Egypt have been digging for artifacts and they've died in the process of it. That people have been so determined that they have bankrupted themselves, that they have destroyed their own lives and everything just to try and find something of value. And we're still fascinated by it. We're still completely compelled by the myths. We're doing this episode and I love it. I love ancient Egypt. It's so infinitely huge because you can't even scratch the surface.
No, absolutely. And there is so much still unknown about it all.
Still unknown.
There's still so many mysteries and things out there, which does make it absolutely makes it completely fascinating, and you want to keep on researching and reading about it, and they're making new discoveries all the time. Which is grand. People are like that for any mystery and anything. People go hunting in the Amazon for ancient, the sort of the lost cities of gold and things like this.
Well, apparently this week it worked.
So, yes, did you think about that?
I think that's for PC Morris. I think, but
people will go hunting in the Amazon and things like that, or go searching for Atlantis and all this thing, because it's just the complete fascination with these mysteries and. Yeah, and everyone absolutely fucking loves it. I mean, I love it. Yeah,
I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? You can only scratch the surface of it, but these pharaohs and these people who lived in this incredible world.
One of the most random things is just that how long ago. It's one of the things I heard that I thought that can't be true. Sort of Cleopatra is lived closer in time to us than she did to when the Great Pyramids were built.
Yeah,
which is just mad.
Yeah.
Because how long that sort of culture and society have been going for thousands of years. Yeah. Because Cleopatra, that's like over 2,000 years ago, and it's just incomprehensible. Yeah. To me, when you what massive, just terrifying timeframes you're looking at. Yeah. Over all these things, and how much is probably still hidden under miles of sand and desert and
because
things.
People have been digging and it's very hilly out there. People think it's just one flat bit of land. No. It's like, no, it's massive. It's massive hills and mounds because everyone's been digging.
Because it's all covering up more pyramids that are buried under the ground. That were the landing ships for space aliens,
space aliens. It does leave you staring at a wall for a while, because I was sort of researching this, and then you do go down the rabbit hole of like, I think I texted you guys, I was like, why am I researching this bit? I don't need it for the episode. I'm not doing the history of Egypt, of ancient Egypt, of any of the eras. But then you sort of go, well, there was this era, there was the ancient, and then the modern, and then this dynasty, and then that, and oh my God, the dynasties were broken up into pieces. And then when was the first mummy mummified? Because there was natural mummification, and then there was ancient mummification. And then I was like, okay, I've got one, ancient mummification. No, but then people think that was 5,000 years ago, not 3,000 years ago. They found evidence. When does it begin? When is now?
And no one ever knows.
No one knows. And it's like, what?
And like the Sphinx,
what is everything?
Some people think the Sphinx is so many more thousands of years older than it actually is. People think it is.
And there's like, what does it mean? Like what was it for?
What was it for? And where was it?
And who was it and why?
And who was it and why? Yeah, because the head is really weirdly small.
It's really weird.
And so it must have been like, so people think, oh, it was a much bigger thing, and then the Egyptians came along and carved it down to make it look like a pharaoh's face. But
they just left a rock there, like,
but
you deal with it.
It's like 2,000 years prior to that, it was a big lion or something like that, and then the Egyptians came along and found it. So like, but then who the fuck built that?
Who built that? What's going to happen? It's bad enough that when you look at it, time goes backwards. When you're like, oh, God. And also, it never ceases to make me laugh. I know we've changed AD to CE now, of like the time frame and everything. But how still the entire world predominantly is like, this is the time since Jesus. Jesus. Oh, God. But yes, the pyramids, aliens, clearly.
Aliens.
I'd love looking up alien theories about the pyramids. It's like...
Because like the tips of the Great Pyramid are like aligned to Orion's belt. Exactly.
They are aligned to it, yeah.
Yes, and sort of all
really? When?
The measurements.
What time of year?
On a Tuesday.
What time of day? Really? They could not have been leveled. Have you ever heard of water? Have you ever heard of that? You heard of that? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, definitely aliens there. Definitely aliens.
It's the one thing where you can look and go, well, you're lying. Like, this is just bollocks. Well, there we go. What do you think, people? What do you think of the curse of the Pharaohs? There's so much in ancient Egypt we could cover, and I'm sure there are stories that you'd love us to delve into, but specifically the curse of the tomb of King Tutankhamun. What do you think actually happened with the opening of the tomb? Do you have any stock in the fact that people died after that happened many years ago? But was it the curse of the Pharaohs? Was it Aleister Crowley? Was it Aleister Crowley just flinging curses around?
Yeah.
What about the unlucky mummy? Maybe there's more stories that you want to share from that. And what do you think of the idea of curses and the history behind the uncovering and the plundering, really, of the tombs and so many of the artifacts that are now in places that they really probably shouldn't be? Tell us what you think. Jump on the comments of this episode, share your thoughts, your feelings, your theories, but most importantly, while you do, it's Halloween, mix up some drinks.
But many.
So, don't do the Little Egypt.
No, don't do that. It's not good.
Bad. Have a go on the Sphinx.
Yep.
It's mysterious.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Mummy's cursed, but we're not a treat. I like that.
The mummy's cursed. Delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
We had fun.
So yes, the recipes will be out on the Friday, on the Thursday, or whenever I'm supposed to put them out. I don't know.
Sometime.
At some point, if I remember. Frequently I forget these days.
We will share them, don't worry.
But they will be out, so give them a go for your exciting Halloween soirees.
If you are having a Halloween party tonight, when you're listening to this, if you are listening live in real time, please send us pictures of whatever you're doing for Halloween and any cocktails you mix up. Whatever time you're listening to this episode, please send us a picture of what you're drinking, tag us on social media, share your thoughts and your feelings. Also, please follow us on patreon.com/The Poisonous Cabinet for extra spooky content this month, as well as regular episodes that we love to share with our subscribers. Please, if you love this episode and you love this show, leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, guys. We have been the people inside the Poisonous Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.
Oh, yeah.